All right, let's jump right into it. We're going to be talking about our key support and resistance levels in these cryptocurrencies over here on the side. We did Bitcoin and Ethereum yesterday evening in the live stream. This will just be a quick video. Now, yesterday evening, I did tweet this out. Yeah, it was around 9 p.m. I just didn't want people to get too caught up in this pump if it ended up failing, and it did end up failing. I was just saying, look, on the 4 hour here, it looks like more bearish divergence. And I know a lot of people probably FOMO'd into this. I just didn't want people to get burned FOMOing in thinking that this was a breakout, even though we did make a higher high. I think a lot of people were expecting this to push up and break out upwards, but the RSI and some of our indicators and margin pressure levels were showing otherwise. So, guys, I'm a little bit bearish here in the short term. Now, you guys know that I have been bullish for quite a long time. I've been talking about this relief rally or bear market rally for quite a while. But look, at the end of the day, Bitcoin struggled to break out and hold these levels, these higher levels, on a day when the S&P 500 completely ripped. It ripped up 1.5%, which is huge for the S&P 500. SPX looks very bullish after breaking through its downtrend line, holding support and rocketing upwards. Yet Bitcoin is holding resistance at around 24 and change. It's having trouble, and it's because we had this massive pump, and we've got to get some consolidation here. We have not gotten a retest or a pullback. So I don't have a crystal ball here, but what I do see is we've got both bullish divergence and some bearish divergence. This would be the bullish divergence green here in the bottom. But we also are printing that bearish divergence on the top side, and that's leading to consolidation. A lot of times what you'll see on these continuation patterns is what we saw over here, right? You spill over the top, right? The bearish divergence kicks in, you get a gut check, you find the support, and then you continue up higher. So just beware. If you're in a long right now, I don't want to influence anyone's trading decisions. If I was in a long right now, I'd be a little bit cautious about a gut check, a little pullback here. But this is where I'll be looking for some long trades. If and when we do get that pullback. So let's actually jump right into Solana here. We're going to be looking at our key levels with our margin pressure levels and such. Now, you can see that, actually I've not looked at Solana in a minute. If we go out to the 4 hour, you can see that our bearish rising wedge is actually playing out. This is our bearish rising wedge, and while it does actually look like we are just in one sideways consolidation pattern, and maybe we are, we had this bearish rising wedge that we've now held resistance. We fell out of it, we held resistance on it. That is usually going to be bearish. So if we start losing these levels, that's where we could get our kind of our gut check pullback here. So this in and of itself, to me, is a bearish pattern. So that's going to influence my bias just a little bit here in the short term. Now, to be clear, I talked about on live stream last night, I am bullish and expect some bullish continuation moving forward. So that's that 2540 resistance level that we've been having difficulty holding above, kind of a couple of deviations above it. But that's our key resistance here for Solana. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. And I do put these numbers into these support and resistance levels into the Sistine Research Discord each night, or most nights that I do a support levels video. So go check that out at sistine.ai if you would like. Support here at $19.05. That's a very interesting level. That would be making a new low. It would be taking out this prior low, but it would be retesting this prior resistance level. And then below that, between 1587 and 1693, we had our prior consolidation. So if we do get a little bit of a panic here, and again, it's tough. It's tough to argue for crypto correcting when the S&P 500 is just ripping. But we'll see. We'll see how long can the S&P 500 do this, and how long before the S&P 500 does correct. Because when the S&P 500 corrects, I would expect crypto to pull back as well. And with S&P 500 moving up 1.5% in a lot of these altcoins and majors and Ethereum and Bitcoin really struggling to break through resistance here, it tells me that this is extending. If ever there was an excuse to rip upwards, it's when the S&P 500 is ripping up 1.5% in a day. We should have seen this really rip if it was ready to. And it just, in my opinion, just needs to come back down and get a gut check. All right, so 1905, and then I'm not going to put these levels in, but $16 to $17 if you watch those. If you watch the video here, You can kind of commit those to memory or write them down yourself. But those are the two key levels that I like for Solana here. AVAX, where is Avalanche? Is up here at the top in the A tier cryptocurrencies. Really, really solid. Interestingly, off of the same kind of swing low, we actually see the resistance came in at that 2x long level around 2272. If we move this back a notch to our most recent bear market low, our what ultimate low here. It looks like our key level here is around 2108, right? That's our resistance and potentially our support that we're trying to build some support on right now. But again, a lot of stuff a little bit overextended. We could see this come back down to 1581, and that would be very painful, right? And not that painful because it's like we were just at 1054 and 1581 as a support level would be fine. But you do have to understand that off of this most recent high, if we get that kind of pullback, that's a 30% pullback. That's going to scare a lot of people. And that's, to me, is going to be a really good buying opportunity because, again, I do expect that continuation. And how great would that look right here in terms of an inverse head and shoulders coming back down to 1581 or thereabouts, right? Putting in the inverse head and shoulders. I know that's super sloppily drawn, but you get the idea here. So 1581, 2108, those are the two levels that I'm looking at for AVAX. Arweave, big fan fundamentally. We had this kind of V-shaped recovery after this little spill off. And again, this is a broader time frame, obviously, but the same concept here that we kind of talked about on Bitcoin applies. You have this long-term consolidation range, and then you get your gut check, your breakout below, and then you find, oh, okay, support's going to come in at $6, and we've got a lot of buyers down here, even though when it's spilling over, it doesn't seem like it, right? So the same thing, kind of the same logic applies there. Just going to point that out. All right, off of our swing low here, we are getting that resistance at around, give or take a couple cents here. It's not going to matter too much. 1607 is our low. That means 1214 is kind of our resistance that we overshot. If we zoom in here, we would see that we got a little bit of a breakthrough, tried to hold support. This ended up turning into a deviation. If you look at those 4-hour wicks, it was just jagged up and down between 1207 and 1287. So really struggled to find buyers that could push it up above this level. So to me, this looks like a bit of a rejection. We need to get back up above and make support on 1214 if we're going to go higher. Otherwise, the way I'm leaning right now is expecting that gut check correction out of Bitcoin and potentially Ethereum as well in the overall market. Really, I think the S&P 500 has propped up the crypto market a little bit here in the last day or two after FOMC. Right. So $9.11 potentially a really solid support level. And I know that seems low, but look at this. Look at this. This trend here. Look at this. This move. It was very, very aggressive, and we draw a little trend line here. So we would be breaking the trend technically, unless we drew it, all the way out like that. Right, in which case then maybe we could fall down to it. But if you just look at this isolated move, I mean, a 30% correction of this move to me is not that unrealistic. Coming back down and testing this support demand zone, completely realistic. Of course, we could catch support before then. But those are going to be the two levels that I'm personally looking at right now. To me, I believe that buyers are ultimately going to dictate this market. So that's why I'm using the long margin pressure levels more than the short margin pressure levels. It's also difficult to know whether or not we've put in a local high or not, or if we're going to push up one more time or a little bit further before that. So I do want to mark out these levels according to the long margin pressure levels. All right, Cardano. A lot of people getting excited about Cardano here. I believe they are launching. I know they're launching a native stablecoin called DJED that may help their DeFi situation over on Cardano. All right, kind of in no man's land here. Kind of got the resistance. I see a potential similar to what we've seen before, a potential inverse head and shoulders forming. So that would be very interesting if it came to rest at around 35.9 cents, 0.359. It's definitely a level to watch. You do see a little bit of interaction there. Prior resistance, right, turning into support. It's been a little bit sloppy in terms of price action if you were trying to trade these levels because we've had these deviations above and below. But otherwise, we're kind of just sitting in no man's land here. We do have a pretty significant downtrend here, so I don't hate the idea of maybe throwing on some short margin pressure levels, but they may be a little bit difficult to place. Yeah, I'm going to leave the short margin pressure levels off a little bit. I will take a peek at the easy bands. Yeah, so our 21-week simple moving average coming in here, it's going to start flattening out in line with this 36 level. I wouldn't be too inclined to jump into Cardano before that. Now, could it run? Sure. But I would feel a lot more comfortable as far as a shorter term trading entry, getting an entry around at least 36 cents or so. And that's not asking for too much from where it's at right now. That's only a 10% correction. If we go further down and we see a nastier move, a nastier correction, look for that 30 to 32 cent range. But 35.9 looking fairly strong with our 21-week simple moving average cutting through that zone as well. So I kind of like that level as potential support. Algorand, not one that I personally look at a ton or spend a ton of time on. I'm due to do a little bit of a deep dive and more due diligence on Algorand, but I hear phenomenal things about it, and obviously they have an incredible team. Very, very smart team. Yeah, looking on the long margin pressure levels. I mean, obviously this is a level we've interacted with, but these deviations are tricky to trade. I did not mean to do the alliteration there, but they are tricky. And ultimately, if we pop back down to the support, it has held twice with albeit some deviations. This is a nice little support range below here. So 23 to 24 cents. I'm just going to pop in that as a range. I do think there's better stuff to potentially trade here than Algorand in particular. That's not to say that I dislike it. I'm just from a trading perspective, the price action is looking a little bit sloppier than what I would personally prefer. All right, Phantom. Phantom is just completely ripping. Painful that I did not keep my long open. I had a really nice long entry down here at 19 cents, and then closed it up here in this range as a shorter term trade. Had I just rode that thing upwards, that would have been a massive trade. But of course, keep those tight stop losses in, or rather those trailing stop losses in, and make sure you take profits. It's usually the best habit to be in because it could have just as easily gone the other direction. All right, let's take a look at the easy bands. We're very overextended here. I would not recommend looking for longs. Yeah, Phantom's just repricing is fundamentally very undervalued at 17, 18, 19 cents. We've seen Phantom do this repeatedly, guys. I mean, it just when Phantom comes down and gets very undervalued, it can just rip up above the red easy bands. In fact, I would say this is one of the cryptocurrencies that the easy bands is probably the least useful on because we just rip to both sides. It's very volatile. So Phantom moving and repricing, very undervalued compared to how much TVL has and how much runway they have. Off of this recent low, we're just breaking through again. Look, how far are we up now? That's almost 3.6x. So 270% off the bottom. Really running here. We are following our margin pressure levels quite cleanly, though, catching some support here. So if you really wanted to get into a short-term continuation trade, I'd be very careful because in the short term, this is very overbought. But we'd be looking at 58.42. 0.5842, and the way we trade this from a short perspective is if we deviate here and hold, make a lower high, and then we get bearish divergence of some sort, or we just see we see something like that start to pop in on the RSI. Then that would be a short level. 58.42 would be our short trigger, so we'd be looking for that. But really, as overextended as we are, I'd be looking for a correction back down to like 43.82. So that's the other level I want to put in, 0.4382. Yeah, we'll leave it at there for right now. All right, we're moving along here near protocol. Take a peek at near protocol. All right, let's move this local low back down to bottom here. And this is actually a very similar setup to what I kind of just described. Was we got a little bit of a deviation here. We had some initial resistance at this $2.46 range, right? A little bit of a deviation, falling below, and now we're holding it as resistance, putting in this head and shoulders. So to be quite honest, this does, in my opinion, look fairly bearish for Near Protocol. I'm a fan of Near Protocol, but the technicals here, if we cannot get back up and above 246 and make support on top of it, it looks pretty bearish. So this looks like it could be taking a trip, right? And that would complete the head and shoulders, right? Probably take a trip back down into this range, right? So this would be the top of the range at around $1.84, 1.844 and 1.639 would be kind of that level right there that we've found some support on right there. All right, that's Near Protocol. Going rather quickly here. Apecoin, off of our swing low, didn't quite get to our 651 level. That was the level that I was looking to maybe go a little bit short at. That's okay if we move these back a notch. We look at 523, 5.236 as a support level. Pretty interesting. All right, let's move this up one more notch. And then 488. 4.88 is interesting as well. Kind of moving rather quickly now. Ethereum W, I wanted to do this because it just pumped out of nowhere. I would expect this is a great opportunity to look for a short at 567 if we get continuation here, 567. Not a fan of Ethereum W. I'm just kind of getting squeezed here. 567, potential support at 425 for anybody who'd be looking to buy in on some sort of continuation play. I'm not inclined to get long on Ethereum W, but 567 would be the level that I'd want to short. If we go up and pump again, let's see if we get any confluence here. A little bit, potentially 663 if we can get through 567, 6.63. All right, last two here. DOT, always a popular one that people request. DOT sitting down. DOT fights a high inflation, high emissions. I believe it's like 14 to 17% or something. Yeah, kind of. We have the support over here, trading a little bit sloppily right now. Could potentially put in the same inverse head and shoulders that a lot of stuff's looking to put in. And I think that would be really bullish. If a lot of stuff could put in this inverse head and shoulders, get that gut check correction that we're talking about, then we could go up higher. So maybe 563, but this one honestly doesn't look that terribly interesting, if I'm being honest. Matic, last but not least, been breaking out as well. Anything that smells like Ethereum in the slightest, anything that's a layer 2, anything that's even just remotely related to Ethereum right now has been pumping. So we broke out of our $1.03 to $1.04 range that we were tracking. Didn't quite make it down to make support back on top of it, but we do have some resistance at $1.38. If we move this up to our next level, we could potentially fall back to 112, 1.12. I'll be more precise there, 1216. If we get a little bit of consolidation here before moving upwards, getting a little bit of resistance there. 149 is another interesting level up there at the top. 1495, 1.495. All right, those are our levels to pay attention to. These are strong support and resistance levels. These are, by no means levels that you should just be looking to copy trade. I'm not trading all of these levels, but there's a couple in here that I'll probably end up taking some trades on. If you want to look to trade on leverage, there's a link in the description below for Bybit. That's my preferred exchange. And yeah, these are just strong key support and resistance levels that can maybe add a little bit of extra confluence to the levels that you're already looking at. Hopefully you find them useful. I would not recommend blindly copy trading them, but they can be useful for you and your technical analysis needs, guys. If you'd like to join a community that is very technical analysis heavy, as well as fundamentals as well, and I know that's bright. Sistine Research, Sistine.ai. We have a Discord group. It's only $9 a month. Guys, that's super, super cheap compared to the amount of value that's in that. And really that's there predominantly to keep out bots. If you have a free Discord, it just lets bots and scammers in. So $9 a month, super cheap. If you want access to the research hub, it's $49 a month. And I just published a 8-part or an airdrop guide, or 8 airdrop guides rather, that I think will very likely more than pay for probably a year plus of Sistine Research membership. Obviously, there's no guarantees there, but if you qualify for even half of these airdrops, I would imagine that they'll be large enough to pay for at least a month, right? At least a month, if not many, many more. I've gotten airdrops north of 6 figures with the ribbon airdrop, and have been fortunate to grab some other airdrops. So these things can be really, really big. We've got plays, which are just short alpha snippets, 1-pagers of analysis, research reports, DGods and Utes really doing really well, Arweave, and then tomorrow, more than likely, Saturday at the latest, I'm dropping the blockchain gaming research report, which I think is going to be really, really useful for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to lose so much money in the blockchain gaming narrative that's impending. It's coming whether people like it or not. And if you're not educated, not prepared for it, I think a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money on blockchain gaming. But there's going to be a lot of opportunity to make money at the same time. All right, guys, check out Sistine.ai, link in the description below if you'd like. And if you enjoy the content, please do drop a like and consider subscribing. Hope to see you in the Discord. Peace.